They don't have the basic needs. If you have water, just give us water. It shocked me to my core. The government arrested all of us. We were interrogated and beaten up. It could be considered human trafficking. Things have changed. I'm not welcomed here. We were really afraid of anything could happen to us. We took a bus. Illegal procedures. I have no choice. It wasn't the end yet. I'm an engineer. I studied engineering in Sudan University, Science and Technology. I graduated in the year 2011. After I graduated, I was working with a telecom organization. We went to a city in the east of Sudan to make telecommunication towers for cell phones. Every time we come across a town or a small village, we tried to give food and sometimes money. People were like, no, if you have water, just give us water.
We witnessed throughout that hit Sudan, the whole country, resulting in major migrations and famine, and it is increasing.
Sudan is experiencing climate change because it's been getting much warmer, and there is evidence of desertification.
Most of the conflicts in the region, at the core of them sits climate change and climate forced migration. The tribal conflicts in Darfur, for example, aside from the government-led ones, they were conflicts about resources, the lakes and the rivers that are getting smaller and smaller.
It shocked me into my core. There are a lot of human beings living here and they don't have the basic needs. Although Sudan is a wealthy country and has a lot of resources, it motivated me to raise my voice more. Troubles started when I tried to hold an event that was the same as the festival called Holi. Security forces stopped the event and confiscated all the tools and all the stuff, and we were told that you are violating the Sharia law and the constitutes of Sudan, and so you have to come with us. They threatened us that if you do so again, something bad is going to happen. My friends and I planned to raise funds for those who need the medical help. At a restaurant in Khartoum, like 3 days before major protest, the government arrested all of us and they took us to the detention. We were interrogated and sometimes beaten up. Luckily, I got the visa for a conference in the United States. I had to manage everything with an immigration officer at the airport. So he had to do a lot of illegal procedures at the airport. He came and took my passport. He told one of his friends that I have a relative who's going to the United States and I want to introduce you to him. And so he was trying to make things normally. At the last check, he whispered to someone who was checking the passports of people, please let him go quickly because he's gonna miss his flight. And then I boarded. When it took off, I felt relieved, but it wasn't the end yet. I've heard horrible stories about people who applied for asylum in the United States and then their cases took more than 5 years to 7 years to 10 years. This may cause me being away from my family for a long time and I can't handle that. Then some of my friends told me that he heard some news about Canada.
There is a loophole, there is a legal loophole that migrants have and refugees have used to their advantage.
I don't know if I would describe it as a loophole, but the Safe Third Country Agreement between the United States and Canada is an agreement whereby each country designates the other as a safe country of asylum. Any asylum seeker who comes from that country to the other country cannot apply for asylum there because they're already in a safe country. The agreement refers to official border crossings. The Safe Third Country Agreement does not apply to persons who enter Canada from the United States irregularly, not at a regular border post.
That was the point where I decided to come to Canada. We took a bus from New York to a city called Plattsburgh in New York State. It's just a few miles to Saint Bernard de la Côte in Quebec through a road called Roxham Road.
Most chose to go through upstate New York to border towns and take taxis with strangers, complete strangers, to cross them into Canada.
We stopped the taxi driver and we asked him if he knows the road to Canada, and he was familiar with the journey. Before we get to the point of drop-off, we had been stopped by Border and Control Police. He asked us if we were going to Canada. I said to him, yes, we are moving to Canada. Then he fined the taxi driver and he asked him, don't you ever do this again? It could be considered human trafficking, and they let us go. When we arrived at the point of drop-off, we had to walk. That was at night. The area was really dark and we were really afraid of anything could happen to us. And I was really careful with my approaches not to be hurt. Then we arrived at the border. I remember the area was silent. That point isn't a port of entry, it's just a dead end. One of the Canadian police officers directed his light towards me and he was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said to him, I'm a refugee and I'm scared and I'm no longer safe in the United States. So I don't have an entry visa to Canada, so I have to come. And he tried to explain that this was not a legal thing to come here to Canada, and if you cross the border illegally, you're going to face consequences. And I was like, I have no choice. And then I crossed the border illegally. I dropped my luggage and I handed him my passport, and I was really nervous, and he tried with his teammates to make me calm. And this nice lady who asked me politely, may I have your hands behind your back please? And at that time I didn't know what to do. Do I have now to cry or to laugh? Then they drove us to the immigration center and we had a nice treatment all the time. I worry all the time about my family. I advise them that you need to move from Sudan. If they can make their way here to Canada, it's going to be great. When I came to the United States, I didn't realize that things have changed. So I'm really sad.
This is a trend internationally of countries putting up barriers. We have to find ways that we're going to be able to accommodate refugees. We're going to just have to learn to share better.
I don't think this country is prepared. I don't think the world as a whole, even the parts that really care about climate change, are prepared to deal with forced migrations of millions of people.
It's going to take better decision making, not only on short-term timescales, but on much longer-term timescales, to try and get to some kind of a path of sustainability.
It's a concern if we can't get this one right, what's going to happen with the intense migration of people because of deteriorated climate conditions.